All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're strapping in to break down the hilarious, terrifying, and just utterly chaotic anatomy of a bluff gone incredibly, brutally wrong. We're looking at a classic piece of source material that perfectly illustrates what actually happens when the unstoppable force of supreme arrogance meets the immovable object of literal, bloodthirsty reality. It is an absolute masterclass in scene escalation.
Just listen to this. I find you annoying, and I wish to kill you and eat you. That charming line is delivered by a warlord named Baraka. I mean, imagine being in a high-stakes negotiation. You're representing the survival of your entire realm, and the guy across the table doesn't just want to reject your deal, he literally wants to consume your flesh. It's wild. It perfectly contrasts the very real life-or-death realities of this hostile world, Outworld, with the sheer, unmatched ridiculousness of the situation we're about to unpack. So naturally, this begs the question, right? How exactly does an Earth champion's highly sensitive, super earnest diplomatic mission devolve in a matter of seconds into a Hollywood actor being threatened with outright cannibalism? Well, over the next few minutes, we're going to map out the structured breakdown of this chaotic escalation. We'll track the missteps, the massive ego trips, and the brutal reality checks that turn a simple plea for help into a literal fight for survival. Okay, let's kick things off with part 1, the failed diplomatic mission. To really understand this chaos, we've got to start with Liu Kang. He's Earth's champion, and he takes this highly traditional, really earnest approach to conflict resolution. But man, notice the fatal disconnect in communication here. Liu Kang tries to build empathy and common ground, pointing out their shared enemy, Shao Kahn. He tells Baraka, he treats you like wild dogs, totally assuming this is an insult that'll spark a rebellion. But what's Baraka's reality? He just shoots back, we are wild dogs. Liu Kang's attempt to build empathy completely misses the mark because he profoundly misunderstands the brutal, untamed nature of Baraka and his people. He's projecting human morality onto an outworld warlord, and it just doesn't work. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates how fast things spiral out of control when communication breaks down. Just think about how this timeline escalates. Minute 1, it's a simple diplomatic request. Will you help us? By minute 2, after Baraka refuses because Liu Kang doesn't have an army, Liu Kang resorts to challenging him, which Baraka actually declines. So crisis averted, right? Just a failed negotiation. But then by minute 3, we skip right over diplomacy and land on a terrifying promise. My fight is with you. The stakes just skyrocket from a request to a declined duel straight into an unavoidable deathmatch. Which brings us directly to part 2, the arrogant Hollywood bluff. So what on earth happened between minute 2 and minute 3? Well, Johnny Cage steps in with a strategy he super confidently labels Hollywood Negotiating 101. Now, for the record, this is the highly misguided, frankly suicidal tactic of insulting a towering, terrifying monster, specifically calling him out for having big teeth, stabby arms, in some convoluted attempts to manipulate them into fighting someone else. Johnny's arrogant actor persona is on full display here. He's operating under the total delusion that he's the director of the scene and that the monsters standing right in front of him are just background extras who can be easily provoked into hitting their marks. Let's actually break down Johnny's absolutely disastrous strategy step by step. Step 1. He insults the monster's appearance, calling them cowards and mocking their giant size. Cool. Step 2. He hypes up his friend Liu Kang, trying to goad Baraka by saying he'd have to admit to his, quote, Halloween monster grandbabies that he was too cowardly to fight Earth's champion. And then we have step 3, the ultimate failure. He successfully makes the monster furious, yes, but he accidentally makes himself the primary target. Baraka accepts the challenge but completely bypasses Liu Kang to focus solely on the incredibly annoying guy doing all the talking. This leads right into part 3, a brutal comedic reversal. This moment is really the narrative fulcrum of the entire scene, and the sheer comedic whiplash is just incredible. On one hand, you have Johnny's expectation. He literally smiles and says, Hollywood Negotiating 101, fully believing his psychological manipulation was an absolute stroke of genius. He thinks he won. But then Baraka shatters that delusion with horrifying blunt honesty. I find you annoying and I wish to kill you and eat you. It's so good. Baraka isn't playing mind games. He's not following Johnny's script. He is quite simply hungry and irritated. And that hits us with part 4, facing the reality check. The pacing here suddenly speeds way up to match Johnny's rapidly rising panic as he's forced to face actual real-world mortality.
We get these rapid-fire excuses just cascading out of him. Johnny talked a massive game, but the second his bluff is called, he completely breaks down. First he claims, "I'm just a banter," trying to brush off his insults as just playful chatting. Then he tries to distance himself from his own identity, saying, "Johnny Cage is just a character I play." Finally, he hits the ultimate Hollywood evasion. "I have stuntmen that do this for me." He is so desperately looking for any possible exit clause from the terrifying reality he just created.
And you know what? The universe offers him absolutely zero comfort. Instead, it provides this brilliant comedic chorus. When Johnny realizes he actually has to fight, the group surrounding him reaches a terrifyingly unanimous consensus. Someone flat out states, "Johnny will definitely die." And instead of his friends rallying behind him, the immediate responses are, "Oh, agreed," "Yes, agreed," and a deeply funny, "A hard agree." It is the absolute ultimate deflation of his ego. Literally everyone on his side is entirely certain his bluff is about to be fatal.
Which brings us to our final act, Part 5, Showtime for Mortal Survival. So, the Hollywood excuses have run out, the banter completely failed, and inescapable reality sets in. Johnny takes a hit, gets knocked down, and we get this glimpse into his internal monologue. Well, this is a stupid way to lose. He realizes there's no talking his way out, and he definitely can't call in a stunt double. But here's the thing, he doesn't just give up. Instead, he accepts the terrifying stakes by leaning into literally the only coping mechanism he has left, treating his survival like a movie role. He tells himself, "You're an actor, so act. It's showtime." He totally sheds his complaints and reframes the imminent threat of being eaten alive as just another action sequence he has to star in. Honestly, it's brilliant. Which leaves us with a really interesting final question. Because Johnny Cage's bizarre outworld crisis is, at its core, just a hugely magnified version of something we all face. We've all talked ourselves into a corner or projected way more confidence than we actually felt. So, what does this mean for us? When our own bluffs are called and the pressure is suddenly entirely on our shoulders, do we cycle through a list of panicked excuses, or do we dig deep, accept the reality of the situation, and decide that it's showtime? Think about that the next time you find yourself trying to talk your way out of a tight spot. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.